There's a new buzzword in Mexican politics: austerity. Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador's more than halved his salary, sold the presidential plane and flies economy. His supporters love him for it. His approval polls are in the 60s.
It was always the people who had to tighten their belts. Now it's the government. That's the change. No waste, no luxuries, austerity.
The country's Congress has followed his lead. Both houses have cut back on benefits and thousands of aids.
We can look people in the eye and say we haven't got bodyguards, we haven't got cars, we haven't got private medical insurance or saving pots for when we finish. The people aren't carrying our costs as they did in the past.
But while slimming down fat-cap politicians is popular, other cuts in the public sector are less so. Cost-cutting left public hospitals with full waiting rooms, precarious medicine supplies and staff shortages, said the head of social services. He resigned, but protests like this one continue.
Levanten su mano, por favor.
Education and childcare programs have also been cancelled. The budget for the arts has been slashed, as have funds for scientists.
In some cases, institutions have had to cut back so much that they've been asking people not to plug in electronics and to go home before sundown to save on electricity. Projects and lines of research have stopped. Institutions that were going to be inaugurated have been cancelled.
Some are seeing the far-reaching austerity drive with more and more alarm. Most Mexicans would agree that some major surgery was needed to cut out the overspending and corruption in much of Mexico's public sector. The complaint for many like these medical residents is that the president's doing that with a chainsaw rather than a scalpel. The president argues that the cuts are actually just a rechanneling of funds towards his priorities, the state oil company and programs for the poor and elderly. For Arturo Huerta, an economist who supported Lopez Obrador, the sums don't add up.
Just this week they cut $2 billion in public sector salaries. That means less demand, less growth in the internal market, less business for Mexican companies. And that's not counted by the social programs for young entrepreneurs or people planting trees. They don't compensate for the reduction in public spending.
The latest figures showing economic growth almost at a standstill seem to bear him out. That hasn't put off the president. The austerity drive, he says, is working and will go on. John Holman, Al Jazeera, Mexico City.